Hey everybody, it's Tonya. I am back today with a fun card featuring the Naughty or Nice stamp set from Dare to be Artsy. And I'm going to do something a little bit different with this card. When I saw this stamp set, I knew that I wanted to take that little sled and pile it high with packages because I thought that would be super cute. So I am going to basically be masking out the packages from the Naughty or Nice stamp set, and also there's a couple packages in the Penguin Plunge stamp set that I'm using for this card today. So basically I have stamped my sled here with some Dare to be Artsy Totally Black ink, and this is a super easy masking project because essentially all of these packages are square. So it makes it super easy to mask them out and kind of create a tower of packages. So what I'm doing is I'm laying my stamp set on the sled, and then I am lining them up with basically the baseline either of the sled or the baseline of the next package, and then I am masking off those areas so I don't stamp over them. And with just some post-its work fine for this, and you can reuse them pretty much until your post-it gets saturated with ink. It should be fine. So I'm just masking out those areas as I go, and putting my next stamp right on the line, and I'm even doing a couple that are topsy-turvy a little bit just for a little bit of interest. I did map this whole thing out prior to starting this project to see how it was going to work, if it was going to work. And when I did it originally, I just did them all in a straight line, but I didn't really like the way it looked, so I thought I'd throw in a couple of sideways packages and some packages that look like they're about ready to topple off, and that makes it a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going along here, and as I'm stamping, what I'm doing is I'm just stamping, in most cases, the box part of the package, and I'm omitting the bows because essentially the bows are going to be covered up or flattened as the case may be. So when I'm inking up my stamp, I'm taking a little baby wipe and I am wiping off the excess ink from the top part of the package or the bow itself to eliminate that as I build this tower of packages here. And I'm just kind of playing with my placement to see what's going to work best. And obviously this is a completely unrealistic scenario, but that kind of looks like I would, stack things, because, you gotta be difficult when you're, planning to haul a bunch of packages. But actually this worked out really well. And I really like how it ended up being in the end. It looks pretty cool. So. And my top two packages, I did go ahead and leave, on one of these I did leave the bow, on the other one I took it off because I am going to put another package over top of it a little bit. But that just gives it a little bit more interest, and I was trying to decide which angle I wanted to do that really skinny package. And I'm sorry my camera is moving around a lot. I'm still having issues with when I film, for whatever reason, in editing, it is moving around my images even though my mount and everything is secure. So I'm thinking that it has something to do with image stabilization since I record from my phone. So I did try to edit that out as much as possible. I know it's a little bit annoying, and I'm still working on trying to figure out what's causing that. So if you'll just bear with me a little bit. And I think this is my last package. So what I did was I went ahead, obviously there's no die for this, so I went ahead and I used my scan and cut to cut this out, and it worked perfectly. I wasn't sure it was going to work. I was actually nervous about doing that, and was afraid that I was going to have to start this whole thing over again, but it worked out really well. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going back with a pencil initially, and then a micron pen, and any areas that where the boxes are a little incomplete because I had a mask in the way or something like that, I'm just drawing those lines back in. And a micron pen will work well for any alcohol marker coloring that you're going to do, so you don't have to worry about it smudging. And this just makes it look a little bit more complete. On the one package that's laying on its side about midway up, I had to completely sort of redraw the bow because the bow did get covered up a little bit. But that was pretty much it. Everything else worked out really well. And this is super easy to do. This is probably the easiest masking I've ever done. So if I can do this, anyone can do this. Normally when I do a masking project, I have to lay out the whole thing and figure out what items are going to be in the front and create a stamp mask using different color inks, all of those things to try to visualize how it's supposed to look. And for this, I didn't really need to do that. It was very easy. So I'm just adding a few finishing touches here, and I'm using a little it's a grid placement thing for my stamps just to draw a straight line, because I can't draw a straight line. And I'm going to go ahead and color these up, and I'll play a little bit of music while I'm doing that and let you enjoy this. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I am back. I have finished coloring all of those gorgeous packages, and I am just adding a little bit of the, these are tonic shimmer pins in gold and silver, so I'm just adding some gold and silver sparkly details to that pile of packages, and then finishing coloring in my sled because I forgot to color the bottom of it. So I'm just adding I'm using some cool gray markers for that. And unfortunately, I did not get my elf and my other little penguin in my North Pole stamp set on the video that I colored, but I did color them with Copics as well. So here I am masking a Slimline background panel with some distress ink, and I'm just using the cloud border die from Dare to Be Artsy. This is from the Land and it is from the Land and Clouds border die set, and I just cut a piece of scrap paper and I am using that to ink my cloud background. Originally I was going to do something different with the background, and I decided that was a little too busy, so I went ahead and decided to just ink some soft blue clouds on there. I have cut several pieces of cardstock, some white glitter paper, using the same cloud border die to basically try to get the look of like what snow piles would be, I guess. And then I also used the some Wavy Slimline border dies from Dare to Be Artsy to cut some of the snowflake paper and use that as well. And I'm just layering everything up on a standard Slimline panel here. And I'm gonna add everything to this panel with some liquid glue here. I'm just making sure that my snowflake background was cut so it leaves a little bit of a white border on my card base. And I'm trying to get that card base burnished. I don't know what it is about Slimline cards. They're so hard to burnish sometimes. So I'm going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive for this. I'm finding that when I use liquid adhesive, I don't struggle as much with getting it on straight onto my card base or even onto my background, because the liquid adhesive gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So if it's a little crooked, you can straighten it up real quick. So here I am just going to add that cloud border, and I'm making sure that I did ink enough of that to cover it up. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little first layer of snow here with my glitter paper. I'm going to glue that to my background. I think that cloud border die worked really well for making some little sparkly snowbanks. I think this turned out really cute with the different layers of paper. I really like how it turned out. It's very fun, and it kind of looks like what I think the North Pole must look like, although I can't say as I've ever been there myself, but I think this must be what it looks like. So I've got, I believe I did 1, 2, 3, 4, I did 5 layers here for this, the bottom part of this card. I just added each one of those with a little bit of liquid adhesive. And my tweezers come in extra handy for the little pieces so I don't end up getting glue all over my fingers, which tends to happen. That's my final piece. And I'll just put a block over that and let that sit and dry a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and start building my scene. So I have the little North Pole, and then I also cut the little tiny penguin from the Penguin Plunge set because he's holding a gift and I thought he'd be really cute in the background. I also cut a couple of clouds from the, I believe this is also from the Land and Clouds set. It may not be, but I will link it below, the set that these clouds come from. They're also from Dare to Be Artsy. I know it's either in the Wavy Slimline border die set or it's in the Slimline Clouds, Clouds and border dies, Land and Clouds border die set. That's really hard for me to say. So here I am. I wanted to add a little sort of silver kind of rope for the little elf to be pulling that sled. And I had some, this is embroidery floss. It's very, very fine, and I probably should have doubled this, but it was, I couldn't get it to twist. So I just went with the single layer. And I just placed that underneath my dimensional foam that I put on the back of the sled, and then I also put dimensional foam on the back of her. And so it kind of looks like she's pulling it, but then I'm going to add a little bow sort of around her wrist with some more embroidery floss. And I'll just hold that in place with the little dot of glue here. It actually ended up being more glue than what I anticipated because I had a hard time getting it to stick, but it finally did stick. So just getting that placed, and I will add a little bit more glue on top of it to make sure it stays in place. And then I'm going to put some glue on my North Pole sign and tuck that behind my snowbank. And then I've got my penguin, and that is my card for today. Thanks so much for joining me.